Yeah,
And we're
wild
back.
competition now. Yes, I'm kind of disappointed that this year and last year we haven't got anything bonkers from anything particularly bonkers on the stage. But anyway, let's go with entry number one: A Call to the Arms by Kuemmel.
Also using Risk OS.
Yeah, 1 kilobyte.
That was not 1K. No, it wasn't. It's not.
No cling clang. That's true. 100% assembly. No shaders, no cling clang. Next up, that was A Call to the Arms, by the way. Next up is Orby of Desire et al. Lovebyte 2021 256 byte Tick 80 compo pack. Well, all the intros, well, crammed into a 4 kilobyte cartridge. That's cool. 20 intros into one.
The party you can fit on a disc.
The Tick 80 is a wonderful.
That was the Lovebyte 2021 Tick 80 Compo Pack. All 20 entries on one 4 kilobyte cartridge. And yes,
Orby,
some of them were less than 256.
Orby, you did leave out one competitor in the credits.
Entry number 3 is a Run Crash by Desire, Sony PlayStation 1. Now old school.
Run Crash by Desire. PlayStation 1.
I like the ending there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next up, Flagship by the GRZ. A 256 bytes Linux intro. 58 bytes of init code. Okay, so 48 bytes of elf header.
Yeah, it is.
Tough one.
Yeah, it's And that was Flagship by the Oars of GRZ. There was the question, why was, from IRC, why was this in this competition and not in the 1K or what have you? And same question with the other on the Raspberry Pi.
XE graphics.
EXE graphics for this one, because this was, you saw it build out. But no, I was thinking the RISC OS thing earlier. And, but I don't know. I do not know why they are in this category and not in the other. I'll have to, we'd have to ask the Compo organizer, and not necessarily the top Compo organizer. And it might also be the people submitted to this accidentally. Next is SNES Music Pack 1 by Resistance, AceMan and Maze and Revenant and SNC. Finally back on the SNES. We're seeing a lot of SNES, Super Nintendo stuff this year.
That's SNES Music Pack number 1 by Resistance, AceMan, Maze, Revenant, and SNC. Lots of funky tunes there. I have to go back and listen to those properly. Entry number 6 is Hello, Pokéwalker by PoroCYon of K2 and Titan. 128 bytes on...
A new platform. People in IRC. PoroCYon, I hate you. but no, that's awesome. That's a new platform, folks. Modern Minimalism by Resource and Focus Design, back on the Pico 8. Probably my first glitch demo, done in about 3 days in a rush. Mad props to Poison for saving his ass again. And thanks to Oswald for more support.
That's some modern minimalism for you by Resource and Focus Design on the Pico 8. Done in about 3 days in a rush, as usual.
Well, that's how you're supposed to do Pico 8 stuff.
Yeah, indeed. Next up, entry number 8, Byte Battle Pack by Lovebyte and Friends. A TIC 80 music disc and pack of the first Byte Battle.
Byte Battle was amazing.
And that was entry 8, Byte Battle Pack by Lovebyte and Friends. And what did you have to say, Truck?
All of those were coded in front of us live during the Byte battles. If you're a newcomer, you can look at the code of all these, get Tick 80, look at them, and you'll see how they were built. And then you can mess with it yourself and iterate. Fantastic way to get started.
Yeah, very shader showdowny. And entry number 9 is Deine Mutter by 5711 Rebels.
That was a delightful Pico 8 Dower.
Indeed.
ShaderBoi, number 10, by SunnyBadgr. ShaderBoi is a native desktop renderer for shader toy shaders. It supports different use cases such as live coding, VJing, rendering videos of toy shaders in high quality, 8K 60 frames per second, with audio and MIDI input to drive the visuals, and allows creating...
ShaderBoi, take your toy shaders to the next level. Are you a shader artist, musician who needs visuals, or a VJ? Have you ever wondered, how can I run toy shaders outside the browser using native OpenGL? The answer is with ShaderBoi, your toy companion. And how can I VJ with toy shaders with live MIDI input driving the visuals and with multiple cameras and videos as iChannel inputs? Answer, with ShaderBoi. It supports custom iChannel inputs such as webcams, videos, images and cube maps. How can I view my multipass toy shader locally while editing it in my favorite editor? Answer, use ShaderBoi. It unpacks the shader so that each pass is a separate fragment file, plus another file for metadata and iChannel input / sampler settings. The shader is auto-reloaded when you save a file to disk. Afterwards, you can easily save the shader back to ShaderToy from the command line. What's the best way to render toy shaders to video in high quality, such as 8K at 60 FPS? Answer, use ShaderBoi. It makes this very simple. ShaderBoi also adds your audio track to the video file. It has same defaults, but you can customize rendering settings. No need to edit the recorded video in a video editor afterwards. The produced video file is ready for upload to, for example, YouTube, but also any other video hosting platform. What's the best way to make music videos using toy shaders with audio or MIDI input to drive the visuals? Answer, ShaderBoi. The audio is passed the same way as on ShaderToy. The FFT is calculated the same way too. MIDI input is passed via a discrete texture similar to the FFT texture. The exact format is described in the documentation. What's the best way to render 360-degree videos from ShaderToy VR shaders? Answer, you guessed it, it's ShaderBoi. By the way, to turn your shader into a VR shader, you just need to have a main VR function in addition to main image. Okay, but what's the best way to make a highly immersive VR video that's not just 360 degrees but stereoscopic and with ambisonic spatial audio? The answer is ShaderBoi. Can you believe it? By the way, YouTube supports all of those features. It's just that not many videos make use of those features because most video production software doesn't support them. And ShaderBoi injects the right metadata so that the video plays correctly on YouTube. Now it's time for a demonstration. So here I'm in the ShaderBoi folder where I've extracted it, and I have my temp directory with some media files, audio and MIDI, and I'm in PowerShell in that folder. So now I can access it from the parent directory, for example running the help subcommand to display the available other subcommands and the flags, and I can run with the -i for input and giving it the shader URL. I can run a shader like this, and I can leave with escape. It's also supports all the ShaderToy features that you probably know, and also supports audio input. And you pass the audio file that you want to use as input with the -a flag. Here's another example that uses a SDF font. Here's another one. This demonstrates that mouse also works, so you can interact with your interactive shaders. You don't have to pass the full URL, it's enough to actually paste the ID, so that also works. And what you can also do is record a video from these shaders with the rec subcommand. You can also pass the audio that you want to use and the length, how many seconds you want to record. And it runs as fast as possible, so if the shader is not too heavy, it runs faster than real time. And now you have your video here. With the audio embedded. And you can also do that with VR shaders. Then you pass the VR flag. And here we have a WAV file as audio. It supports MP3 and WAV. And we're using HD resolution. And this is rendering in equirectangular projection. That's why it looks a bit distorted, but that's normal. And now we have our 360-degree video. You can freely move around, just like on YouTube. I can also demonstrate MIDI input. Here we pass it a MIDI file as input, but also an audio file that contains the MIDI rendered as audio. It visualizes the MIDI texture basically. This is basically how the MIDI texture looks like. You can also download a shader from ShaderToy and extract it locally by using the DL subcommand with the ID or the URL afterwards. Now it has extracted it in this folder. You can see we have a file for every shader pass and also for the comment pass and the image pass, and we have one for the metadata. We can now run this by passing -i and then the path to this folder where we just extracted it. And we can open it in our favorite editor. If we edit this shader, so now we add a line and now we hit save, then it automatically reloads it. It supports a lot of features, a lot of use cases, and there's not enough time right now to explain all of them, but you can check the README and try it out for yourself. Thanks for your attention. Follow me on Twitter for development updates and new versions. https://twitter.com/SunnyBadgr. Future releases can be found on ShaderBoi.net.
And that was ShaderBoi by SunnyBadgr. Okay, let's wake up. That was entry number 10.
She said, see you later, boy.
Okay, I was going to try not to be harsh, but ow.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I couldn't make it. Either way, really interesting program. Perhaps presentation style could be altered. Next up, number 11, Amiga SWAPTRO by Tristar and Red Sector Incorporated. First Amiga intro since 1998.
Dear Demoscene family at Revision, I'm very honored to present you the first self-updating Amiga intro ever. The idea and concept was to combine old school and current techniques and create an intro where the viewer can add his own content like a message, an ASCII art or a small drawing and share it. So what is happening here? When you run the intro and your Amiga is connected to the internet, which is mostly the case when you are running an emulator, the intro connects to the swaptro.de database and pulls the latest content before it starts. So when you create content, it will be stored local into the intro file and will be uploaded the next time this version of the intro has contact to the swaptro.de database, which is immediately when you have internet connection or next time your intro version gets into the hand of someone who has. So what we have here is an Amiga intro that checks actively for updates, which could be user-generated content or even updates with music, graphic, and effects. The idea came up 1 year ago in the first lockdown, and it took a while to find an Amiga coder who was crazy enough to even listen to this idea. Luckily, Losso is such a crazy guy, But let us hear what Losso has to say about these challenges in this project.
Right. It turns out networking programming in assembly language can be tedious and finicky. At least not as easy as I hoped when I first hacked up a prototype in the emulator because I didn't have networking equipment for my Amigas yet. Once I did, I got to enjoy a nice bunch of subtle bugs, like the head-scratching kind of subtle when half of your production stops working after a random time, or when networking requests that cannot possibly fail still fail and will guru meditate just when you try looking at them. Good fun. Well, the usual AMIGA coding kind of fun, but with a networking layer on top. So while it's still kind of awesome to see your little intro interact with the cubes of the internet, I'm sure glad our production also works offline as well, the way God intended, by swapping physical disks by mail. So, stamps back, suckers.
So thank you, Losso. At this point, we just did this as a proof of concept, and we might push this project a bit further. If this leads to a certain music disc or a disc mag later, we don't know. The possibilities are there. We are open for ideas from the Amiga scene, and we hope that many of you will contribute and support us here. So the intro can be downloaded from now on swaptro.de. We all hope that you enjoy this little thingy the same way we did. Stay safe. See you next year. Love you all. Bye.
That was Amiga SWAPTRO by Tristar Red Sector Incorporated.
That was awesome. Can't wait to get home and, well, I can, but because the demos, but can't wait to go home and actually use that with my networking A500.
Yes, your next demo will come with a day one patch.
It's okay.
Entry number 12 is Holo Grail by Holo Sapiens. First demo running on a true volumetric display. VX1 by Voxon Photonics.
Oh, intriguing.
This is the kind of mad stuff we would like seeing on the stage during Wild M. Track.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if it's the thing that DK had 2 years ago,
Yes.
Oh, I hope it is. Because, I mean, we were looking at that and going, wow, there's going to be so much to this. Okay, this is going to be interesting to see if it's the same thing. Okay, so apparently that display costs $10,000. I still want one. I'm not going to spend $10,000 on it. But now
I want $10,000.
Yeah, I would too. We're now talking in IRC about, okay, how do we build one ourselves? Where?
That was the end of the wild competition, though. And
that was wow. Another great competition. Many, many different types of things.